Today, we will explore the wisdom of Shiva Sutras. These Shiva Sutras were supposed to be given to a saint Vasugupta of Kashmir in 8th century AD. Vasugupta was revealed by Shiva himself and asked him to contemplate on each sutra to become Shiva himself. Please understand, to become Shiva himself. Shiva is name of the consciousness, a very higher being. We can't just say he's a person, a male person married to Parvati. He's a very high consciousness entity who cannot be named at all, but for the time being, as per the spiritual hierarchy, we can call him Shiva. Shiva basically means that which doesn't exist. Shiva basically means nothingness. Out of nothing, the creation starts. The center of this nothingness is the center of the consciousness. Nothing of any impressions and imprints. Nothing of any opinions and judgments. Nothing of any knowledge. It is pure consciousness. And from the center of the pure consciousness, the Shiva emerges. So, let us start the Shiva Sutras. Here it goes. The first sutra is called as the principle of consciousness. Chaitanya Atma, the nature of Atma, yourself, is consciousness. You are basically consciousness. You are not the information which has been surrounding the consciousness. Because of lack of wisdom, the identity has been moved from the center of consciousness to the periphery of consciousness, the concentric circles of consciousness, which are exteriorized into the Vibgir world. These exteriorizations make one conditioned to outer world, chasing after money, chasing after shelter, chasing after survival, whatnot. So, the first principle is the most important principle, which says you are consciousness, Chaitanya Atmaha. And Shiva also says that Jnanam Bandhaha, Jnanam, that which is called as knowledge, either it is botanical knowledge, or knowledge for getting money, or it is physical science, or any other science or arts, or any skill or talent or ability of the external world. He calls it as bandhaha. When a person identifies himself with the external knowledge, that becomes his bondage. That becomes his obstacle to move towards one center. He has to come out of this bondage to enter into himself. And he also says that the consciousness has to move like Bhairava, Udyamo Bhairava. Udyama means the aggressive aspect, the effortful aspect, the active aspect. So the formal sittings of hara that we call as Bhairava basically. That means we have to put ourselves to certain posture, certain time and space, certain duration. All these things can be called as Udyama, means some active effort. And the gap between these two sessions, where effortless observation of the center of consciousness, that is altogether called as prajna. Udyama and Prajna. So Udyamo Bhairava, the formal settings of what we do is called as Bhairava, and it has to be active in nature. He also says that Jagruta, Swapna, Sushupta Bhede, Vishwasai Haraha. Jagruta Avastha means the waking consciousness. Swapna Avastha means dreaming consciousness. Sushupta Avastha means the deep sleep consciousness. All this wakeful dreaming and deep sleep consciousness should be percolated and permeated by the fourth dimension of consciousness or the hara consciousness, otherwise called as turiya. Turiya or fourth dimensional consciousness or hara consciousness or God consciousness or soul consciousness are all one and the same. So these three states of affairs which a ordinary being or average human being is stuck or conditioned need to be completely permeated by the Turiya consciousness or the Hara consciousness. Tritiya Bhokta Virinaha means Tritiya consciousness has to dominate all the other states of consciousness. So when the Tritiya consciousness dominates, the state of the person will be like Vismayo Yoga Bhumikaha. Vismaya means wonderment. He always lives in wonderment. He always lives in surprise. He doesn't live in excitement. He lives in wonderment. He gets amused. Everything appears like wonder, like a child enjoys the wonderment of everything. He enjoys the surprises. Everything is very surprising. And for this person, Hrudaye Chitta Sangatta Drishyashva Pradarshanam. So Chitta means mind. Hrudaye means center. When the mind moves towards the center, Drishvashva, the impressions that have been created in the mind will be annihilated. So the mind has to move towards its center. So in another principle, he says like this: Maha Sandhanam. Maha Sandhanam means Anusandhanam means combination or alignment. Alignment towards Maha means the center of the heart, the center of the center, the hara. When you move towards it, mantra virya anubhavaha. Mantra virya means the greatest experience of magic will be experienced. And this, when we move in this direction, the chitta becomes mantra. Chitta mantraha. The mind becomes mantra with the help of prayatna sadhakaha. Prayatna means effort. So the sadhaka should be very much persistent, very much consistent in moving towards oneself. And consistency, not like forced consistency, forcing oneself to sit. It is not like that. It is like effortless enjoyment, effortless gaining of wisdom. This has to happen. So when this happens, Vidya Sharira Satta Mantra Rahasyam. Vidya Sharira Satta. Vidya, what we call as Vidya, an external Vidya, all these things will be erased and the pure wisdom will be born. How it is born? It is born like this. Garbhe Chitta Vikaso Vishishta Vidya Swapnaha. Garbhe Chitta means when the Chitta moves into Garbha, the center, the Vishishta Vikasa, the wisdom will arise, and the Swapna consciousness, the dreaming consciousness, and the wakeful consciousness will be totally destroyed. So we have to move as per the knowledge given by Shiva from concentric circles of the mind towards one's own center. So for this he says something called as Bijavadhanam. Bijavadhanam is a very important principle. Bija means the seed of consciousness. Avadhanam means mastery. Mastery of the seed of consciousness is what is called as Bijavadhanam. This has to be done. When you master the seed of consciousness, the seed contains the universal wisdom. So mastery of the seed leads to mastery of the universal consciousness. So When we move ahead like this, asanastaha sukham hruday nimajjati. Asanastaha means asana doesn't actually help to move into God consciousness. But when you are in God consciousness or Hara consciousness or the soul consciousness, you stay for a long time in that one physical posture where it is very comfortable. Sukha, Hruday center, Nimajjati. When Nimajjati means illumination. When illumination happens at the center of consciousness, you become empty and you sit for a long time in that emptiness. So as you move further, deepening your center of consciousness, Kata Japaha. Kata means your talk. Your talk, the very word that you speak in the external world, turns into a mantra. There is no special mantra for anything. Your very word turns into mantra. Is it not interesting? Your very word turns into magic and mantra. And Shiva Tulyo Jayate, you have to become Shiva. You have to attain the Shiva consciousness. You and myself, Shiva, are not different. You are Shiva, and you and I are one. And he also says, Sthiti Layoho. Sthiti means the consciousness, Laya means the illumination. The consciousness should stay at the center of illumination, that is Hara. This will be more consistent, more deepened when the differentiation of knowledge or categorization of knowledge or classifications of various things in the world is totally stopped. He talks about this in this principle, Veda Tiraskare Sargantara Karmatvam. Veda, Veda means the differentiation. Tiraskare means leaving them leads to unification of the wisdom. So, in another principle, Shiva says that Chitta Vasharira Karana Bahyesu. That means what you have attained inside your body, the centeredness of your consciousness, need to be moved out in the external world. That means all the activities that you do in the external world also should be done from the center of one's consciousness. That is very, very important. When this happens, your nature, Naisargika Prana Sambandha, your natural inflow and outflow of breath becomes Naisargika, becomes natural. And it's a beautiful Shiva Sutra. Of all the 77 Shiva Sutras, Shiva prepares the learner from principle 1 to last principle. The last principle, where we call it as the ultimate principle, he talks about the Hara or union very, very clearly. He says like this, Nasikantara Madhya Samyamat Kimatra Savyapasavya Sosumneshu. Nasikantara means the breath, internal breathing, the internalization of consciousness. Madhya Samyavat, when internalization of consciousness happens, the center of the breath needs to be observed. The center of the breath, when it is observed, Savya Apasavya, all that is right becomes more right and all that is wrong will become nullified. And Sushumneshu, the centralized breathing, which moves like oil without any turbulence and disturbance happens. So he talks about the Ida and Pingala, the left and right nadis, and also Sushumna. The breathing has to be along the Sushumna nadi, says Shiva. He says that Shakti Chakra Sandhane Vishwa Samharaha. Shakti Chakra means the hara. This is a new word I learned. Shakti Chakra. It is not actually chakra like Muladhara, Swadhisthana, Sahasrara. It is a center of consciousness which rules all these energy meridians. He calls it a Shakti Chakra, Samdhane, Anusandhane. When you align towards the Shakti Samha, Shakti Chakra, Vishwa Samharaha, the external knowledge will be annihilated. And he describes this word, internal consciousness, as Antar Samvita. That means when the consciousness gets internalized, what happens is Prameya Pramana Parinatri. Once what is perceived and what you are perceiving and the perceiver becomes one. And when you are totally into the center of your consciousness, the breath becomes always central and always moves like fire. It always burns away all the impressions and imprints. So this principle is expressed like this. Prakshamvit prane parinataha. Prakshamvit prane parinata. Parinata means change. Prana means breath. The change is observed first in the breath when the consciousness gets centered. So each principle in itself is a very big nugget of wisdom. So I briefed the Shiva Sutras, which are 77 in number, to almost 20 or 25 for a very, very brief description as a part of Mahashivratri today. Thank you very much.